If you're coming to this video, you're probably stressed out or thinking, how can I simplify my life in 2023? Or what in the heck happened to this last year? Where did it go? I have got to figure out how to slow down time. So in this video, I'm going to give you 20 ways to simplify life so that maybe when we get to the end of 2023, we won't go, where did it go? The first one is to declutter your mind. This is the one place where all of the craziness kind of happens, right? It almost feels like a squirrel going up and down the trees in the forest. You just can't get clear on anything because there's so much here. Or you're like, I need to write that down, but then you never write it down and it comes up 10 more times. I'm going to tell you 2 books that have really helped me kind of craft and create a method that helps me with brain dumping or with remembering things or with just creating a way to put down the most important excerpts of things I learn or I see on a daily basis into my life so that I remember them. Now, the first one was one that you guys recommended to me probably a year and a half ago, and it was Getting Things Done by David Allen. This book was fantastic. Now, one thing I always say is to take concepts from things and create your own way because we're all different. Our personalities work differently, right? So it doesn't mean I follow that to a T because I don't. I took excerpts from it and I put those in place in my life, what worked for me and who I am. Now, the second book that I've just finished reading, I'm so excited about, it's by Tiago Forte, and it's called Building a Second Brain because again, we are bombarded with such fantastic information on a daily basis, but not all of it is for us. But we might have 2 or 3 great pieces of advice from that video that you're watching, maybe here, and to curate that so that you can remember it and easily pull it up later, Building a Second Brain. So check out those 2 books if you're really kind of fighting with having so much going on in your mind and you really want to put it down and put a plan in place. Number 2, stop staying up late. Now, some people say that they're night owls and they get their best work done late at night. Possibly. My opinion is that likely more people are just staying up late. I believe that it's been proven that you have your most available energy, you're the most open and can get the biggest task done early in the morning or first thing. 7 years ago when I began not staying up late, wasting my time getting future carpal tunnel but from scrolling through a phone on some social media app or watching endless hours of useless TV, I was able to make a huge difference in my life. I have never been more successful than I have been in the last 7 years by one of the habits putting into place is not staying up late. As crazy as that might sound, it makes a huge difference. Number 3 is to stop occupying your life away. It's okay if you are bored. The way society is going right now is people are so uncomfortable in their own thoughts, and that's so sad because they aren't having their own thoughts, their own opinions. They're just taking on what they're told or what they see, and that's not how we grow. We don't grow by that. We don't grow by consuming. We grow by creating, and in order to do that, you've got to sit with your thoughts so you can hear them, right? And so rather than just sitting and standing in line at the grocery store and having to be inside of your phone or having to sit there and go to the bathroom and you've got to bring your phone with you so you can, read social media. Maybe you take a book instead, or maybe when you're standing in line, you just look around and you actually observe people. Now, it's going to be uncomfortable at first, but in order for us to get past this, we've got to start being okay with being uncomfortable again. Number 4 is to evaluate your commitments. Are there any commitments that you have where you feel you are giving more than others, possibly being taken advantage of because maybe you know more about whatever you're doing than the others, or you don't feel you have a net positive in your life? It's going back to high school and when you had a group project and you're like, I'll just do it all because you didn't have confidence in what the other people could bring to the table. Maybe it was true or maybe it wasn't. If you're like me, I just like to take things and handle them myself because I can trust what I do. Well, I had that happen to me this year where I committed myself to something And, I fulfilled it, but I then said, I can no longer do this. I finally said, at this point, I need to step back because this is not being a net positive. And looking at it as well, I don't believe it was helping the others to be able to step up and step into the roles they needed to. So I looked at it from both angles, and I realized, the commitments that you have, you need to make sure they're not always going to be fun and fantastic and glamorous. There are things we have to do in life that are uncomfortable, absolutely. But at some point, you have to make sure that you aren't being taken advantage of, or you aren't taking on more than others collectively in a group. And again, this is just me talking about something very specific with me, but it could be any kind of commitment for you. Evaluate what that net positive is for you. Number 5, reduce your goals. At this time of the year, there are so many videos on planning and what are your intentions, what habits you want to take, what goals you want to bring in. It's almost kind of not toxic, but it kind of is to an extent, because you have all these great intentions and you see all these people presenting them in all these ways, these videos, and they're steaming coffee and they're sitting there with their cozy socks and they're journaling out. Well, the reality is a lot of us don't have that ability to do something like that. And it almost makes you feel bad to an extent. The reality is we have busy lives, and most of that self-induced, but that's okay. We don't have to self-induce ourselves to have a stressed out beginning of the year or year at all. Goals really are one of those things where, if you read any like the books on habits, Atomic Habits, etc., it talks about habit stacking. You really have to start out with the ones that are most important. So whittle it down to what you really, really want to do this year, and put aside the least important. Choose small goals and then grow from there. Number 6, say no with confidence. No is a complete sentence. It does not require explanation. If you're saying no to that commitment, if you're saying no to extra duties that weren't on your plate at work, say no with confidence. Now, if it's somebody, whoever it is, might try to have further explanation. Sure, maybe you give a little bit further explanation if you choose to, but don't let them use that to flip it and make you say yes. Say no confidently. Number 7 is to quit or take a hiatus from social media and the news. I don't think this is something new. This is something I think we are realizing is a problem. And we are realizing that, again, going back to not being able to critically think, that's because we are constantly here and letting other people think for us. And the problem is we need to critically think for ourselves. Number 8 is to read. Oh my goodness, I know. What? Way to simplify your life? Well, again, it's about thinking for yourself, and simplifying your life. It can be so simple if we take away the things that are meaninglessly maybe occupying our lives. And reading is one of those things that grows you. It makes you read other people's perspectives, other people's opinions, and it opens you up to larger concepts so that you can do the critical thinking. It's also enjoyable. Just sitting back and reading a book, a fiction book, and using your imagination, letting that creativity go and create the scene in your mind of the story. That's one thing that I always find interesting when you have a book and then they make a movie. And you're like, it's nothing like the book, which majority of the time they aren't. But then also I think part of that is the scene that you created, the way you saw the characters or the town or the house that it occurred in looks nothing like what's in the movie. Number 9 is to find the present. Now, however you need to put this in place in your life, the mind is constantly trying to evaluate and go over what's happened in the past, or assume or predict what's going to happen in the future. And the actuality is you can't change what's happened in the past. You can learn from it, and you probably cannot control. The only thing you can control are your actions in the future. So rather than to assume or go ahead and predict something that might happen and actually almost act it out in your mind, causing the body to create that stress hormone because you're thinking about it, which is the same hormone that you would create if it actually happened. So you're causing this to yourself when it hasn't actually in reality happened. Try to stay in the present. Now that may be snapping yourself out of it or developing a habit of pulling yourself out of that situation. So you almost have to become very cognizant of what's going on in your mind and be able to go, oh, nope, catch yourself in that time and in that habit and pull yourself out of it to be present. Number 10 is to simplify your expectations. This is absolutely me on a day, like a weekend, when I go, I can get all of this done. I bet I can film this amount of videos. I bet I can have them edited. I bet I can do this, this, and this. And then get to the end of the weekend, laundry had to be done, had to go to the grocery store, washing machine broke down, happened this past week. And, all these things happen in reality, and then you feel let down because you set the expectations for yourself and you didn't meet them. You never seem to be able to get done what you think you can. That's almost a way you create disappointment in yourself. You created it yourself. You create disappointment in others. You have expectations on them that they are going to do this. They're going to react this way, do this thing. And then when they don't, you're disappointed. Well, that's not fair to them because they had no idea and they aren't responsible to meet your expectations. It's not their responsibility. Now, number 11 is one of those common things, and it's something that I am so much more working on. And if you had seen any videos from me a couple of years ago, I talked about things that I won't do or I don't do, and it was like buy journals because journaling just seemed crazy to me, such a waste of time. Picking up the book The Artist Way, and it's talking about the morning pages where you just sit and you have a journal and you first thing in the morning and you just start writing. And it can be, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write. But eventually what happens is you do know what to write. And what's really strange about it is you almost leave, and if you've done morning pages, let me know down below if you agree with this, but you almost leave your mind and then somehow a problem that has been plaguing your mind solves itself in your writing and you have no idea how that happened. Or enlightenment happens, or you work something out and you feel so much better after doing it. If that's something that you're interested in, then definitely pick up the book Artist Way, and I'll link all 3 of these books down below if you want to check them out or go to your local library. The Artist Way is one of those that you might just want to buy though, or get a copy from somebody who's already read it and used it, like a used copy if you can, because it's one that you might go back to, reference, and you actually need to check out for more than 3 weeks. Now, the next one, number 12, is about finances. And you might say, well, Jennifer, most of your channel recently has been about saving money and frugal living, and that's really what I know. But I believe these 2 things go hand in hand. Simplifying life and your mindset and your money are very much linked. If you are constantly trying to live like others and stick your head in the sand and go at such a fast pace that you never evaluate things, then your money probably reflects that same kind of chaotic life. So number 12 is to work on your finances and create a plan for whatever goal it is that you want. Remove discretionary expenses that are not giving a net positive to your life. So the example would be you go get a coffee every single morning and you don't really care. It's just that you're just too lazy to make your own coffee. Now, on the flip side, you could have somebody who that actually drives them. That's their one excited thing they look forward to. So that's a net positive for them. So maybe they do that coffee thing, but they don't eat out. So it's replacing, it's not wasting food on that doesn't bring you joy, or wasting money on things that don't bring you joy. So if that coffee really brings you joy, then frugal living is not about just being cheap and not doing that. It's about doing more of what you want. So working on your finances is definitely something to simplify your life because it's the number one thing that can absolutely stress you out. Number 13 is very practical and it almost gets into like the minimalism and decluttering, and that is clothing. Keep only what you love and what you feel confident in. Life is too short to sit there and be wearing things that make you uncomfortable, that you're constantly fidgeting with, that you're wondering what other people think of you while you're wearing it. Are they going to notice this bulge here or that bulge there? Wear what you love and that you feel confident wearing. Everything else, remove. Number 14 is creating that morning routine. Again, very cliche, standard practice for simplifying or creating the life you want. And I'm not trying to be that kind of way. What I'm saying though here is, and this is one of the things I want to work on, is making that time for yourself. So many people just get up, get dressed, grab their lunch and go to work. And then they wonder how the day is so chaotic and how they don't get time to breathe and they don't ever get time for themselves. Those that are able to make that asserted effort to, if it's 15, 20, 30 minutes to do that journaling, to do a meditation, to do a run, to do a walk, to do a little bit of yoga, to sit and read the newspaper, are able to set their day up in a pace that's not chaotic starting. Because usually if you start chaotically, you're going to be completely drained and you're going to end it chaotically. Number 15 is one that is an absolute frugal living tip, and it is planning your meals. But why does this simplify your life? Now, if you plan your meals weekly or you plan your meals monthly, now I have some people on my channel that go, I don't like to plan. I don't need to plan. That's fine. There are many people though that lead very busy life or have larger families that they need a plan put in place, or what actually ends up happening is they don't make enough time to cook what they needed, they don't get what they needed to make what they wanted, and they end up eating out and just really overspending. So even if you plan a few days at a time, you can move around what you want to eat. So let's say you have 7 days a week and you've got a meal plan, and on Monday you really don't want spaghetti, but you rather have tacos. Well, you've already got the stuff you need for tacos on Monday, and on Thursday you'll have spaghetti. But the way this helps you in your life is you're not constantly stressed. You're not constantly having to stop at the store for a missed ingredient. You've planned that, and it's time that you take each week or each month that you get back multiple fold from wasting time going out to eat, wasting money, going to the store multiple times, or asking what is it that we need to eat, what we need to make. And I have tested this over the last year. There was a couple of months where I didn't meal plan, and it was a mess. Number 16 would be to try to be more conscious about complaining. So an example of this would be you go to your coworker and you start complaining about all the work that you have, and they're loading you up with all this work and they're not paying you for it. Very well could be true. But you complaining to that person, what good is that doing? You are not realizing that that person probably, if you're experiencing that, chances are they could be experiencing that too. They have just as much work to do, and your complaining is actually backing them up more. Try to figure out, and again, notice those times when you are doing that complaining, and catch yourself in it and say, what can I learn from this experience? What can I do to make this better? Can I sit down and talk to my boss? Can I manage my time better? Perhaps what you're complaining about is a self-induced problem. Number 17 is to finish one project at a time. It's the same thing with a goal. If you haven't reached that goal or that habit, maybe you ditch it. But if you are still working on it and you're trying to habit stack and put another one on top of it, probably not going to help. So let's say you have multiple projects, and this could be anything, any creative pursuits. We have squirrel mind where we just want to, always start, but we never finish. And it's just a product of, I think, the fast-paced environment and what's happening, and as far as, with the internet age and seeing all these different opportunities, which are great. But we have to focus and be able to finish something we started. Otherwise, we're just spinning our wheels and we never become that creator. We stay that consumer. Number 18, speaking of being a creator versus a consumer, is really trying to find that passion. And how do you do that? What did you love doing as a child? What lit you up? And what I say is, for a while I heard, how do you figure out what your passion is? And I finally heard somebody's explanation and it made complete sense. It's what you get lost doing, what you could sit there and be doing and almost feel like you've left your body and the time has stopped. And you look up and go, oh, wow, that much time has passed by and I had no idea. Find those creative pursuits, because what this is going to do is it's going to help you to grow and to feel more fulfilled. It's probably a better word. Whether that's writing, dancing, doing an Excel spreadsheet. It could be whatever lights you up, what things you love to do, teaching, reading, writing. Find those creative pursuits and try to implement them. Take away that time we talked about earlier, which filled with consuming the TV or the social media, and fill them with things that fulfill you. Number 19 is, for me, is believing in God, is prayer. And it's something that for most of my life I didn't do on a regular basis. But now it's something that is a constant habit. And it's gratitude. And it's not just, can you do this, and this? It's more of like, and everybody's prayers will be different for them, for sure. But it's more of, this has been more helpful for me, is praying to say, please guide me. Please pull me in the path that I'm meant to be. The path. Please show me the way. Please help me discern the signs that I'm on the right path. And when I've started that, this obviously my personal experience, I began to see it. And I began to feel more fulfilled because I saw my path being moved, almost like roadblocks. I began to see other people might assume as a negative situation or a negative occurrence as a positive, because maybe you're going down this road and you're not meant to go down that road. And then you've got a blockade because you're meant to go this way. And I began to look at that rather than a hindrance as a good thing. And it made a world of difference in my perspective. And number 20 is to have something on a daily basis that is your sacred space, that is your thing that you want, that you feel so excited about. Now, whether that is going to get that coffee in the morning, or it is having a space that you sit and you read and you meditate, or it's an evening walk that you just need it. If you don't get it, you feel like your day is not complete or you can't unload or de-stress. For me, it may seem strange, but it's laying in the bed at night, I love just putting a heating pad on my back to help release the stress, and just like either reading or watching a video on YouTube and just vegging out, because all day long going, trying to establish, create, goal. Yeah, all of these things are fantastic, but there needs to be a point in your life where you can release, you can reload and recharge. For me, it's the end of the day and it's preparing for that night when the ultimate recharge comes. So tell me what things you're excited about simplifying in 2023. Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you back for more videos.